But it doesn't stop there. Look at verse 2. Another imperative, another orange word. After you seek, that's your choices, set. Those are your desires. Set your mind on things above, not on things of the earth. Now we get back to Pinterest. What's on your board in heaven that you're setting your desires on? Are you saying, Lord, I know the only thing I can take with me to heaven are people, and I want to lead someone to Christ. Have you ever led someone to Christ? Or do you pay other people to do it for you? Which one do you think is the primary calling we all have? The primary calling we all have is not to pay someone else to lead someone to Christ for us. That's a secondary calling. We're supposed to support the ministry of the Lord around the world. We're all called to go into all the world, and there's a part of the world that only you can go to. The Eastman family will not go to your local high school or college or shop in their whole life, I'm sure. But you will. And they won't live on your street or in your apartment. And they are not called to lead your friends to Christ. You are. I am. My friends. Look back at verses 1 and 2. Pointing your mind toward God means seeking those things which are above. My choices, when I get to make a choice, it has to be tied to something that is connected to God. Otherwise, everything else is going to burn up at the judgment seat of Christ. So I'm making conscious choices to point more parts of my life, make them redemptive. I told the people at Calvary, I pastor a church in Kalamazoo. It's mostly professionals. Very successful people. We have a couple of them here. They're very successful. Everybody in the church, very successful. And I tell them, I said, it's okay to buy a house on the golf course, right on the fairway. You should do that as long as you feel that your calling in life is to pick up in foursomes and the whole time around ask each one of them about their soul. Is that why people play golf? Not most of them. I say, it's good to have a boat and go get a lake house. As long as your whole purpose with that boat is that you are going to get to know every neighbor and loan your boat out and get invited to every one of their parties so that you can come on their deck and you can ask each of them, if you would die tonight, where would you wake up? Have you ever heard the gospel of Jesus Christ? Buy a boat and have a lake house for that purpose. And skip church on Sunday. If you're going to be a missionary to the golf course and to the lake. But if you're not, the lake house time and the golf course is going to burn up at the judgment seat of Christ because it's not eternal. And yet, we don't, verse 1, we don't seek the things which are above. We don't set our desires of our mind on the things above instead of the things on the earth. Well, now, I'm going to conclude with this because it's getting close. 1 Timothy 4:7. Let's go back there because I want to end where we began. I want you to see the tie. Back to 1 Timothy 4:7. The essence of what Paul is telling Timothy in verse 7 is this. He says, reject profane and old wives' fables. Reject anything that distracts your mind. Did you know our mind is the interface with the spiritual world? This is where we read the truth of God and the Spirit of God energizes it and we eat. You know, Jesus talked about eating His flesh, drinking His blood. What is that? Have you read John 6 lately? What? He says, you can only go to heaven if you eat my flesh and drink my blood. Well, the Roman Catholic Church says, go to Mass. That's what it is. That's not what it is. I can assure you, it's not. Jesus said, I'm the bread of life. I'm the manna come down from heaven. Just like your fathers ate the manna in the wilderness, you should eat of me. I want to be your daily sustenance. What's he talking about? Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every what? Word. Oh, we're back to this book. Jesus said that our minds are fed, and our spiritual life is fed by prayerfully, with the Holy Spirit's guidance, looking into this book and hearing God talk to us. This morning, on the schedule, you know, our devotion time, every one of us that opened the Bible and bowed before the Lord with an open heart, as we read those words, we heard God's voice talking to us. And as we heard him, it was recharging our soul.